Hey guys, it's Jessie, and today I'm going to be doing another first time crafting video. The first one I did, trying out resin crafts for the first time, was way more popular than I ever thought it would. So I thought I would do another crafting video today, another first time trying a crafting project. This one, I don't know, like the resin was a little scary, but this might be even scarier for me. I don't know, I feel like there's bigger mess potential for this than there was for the resin. But today I'm going to be attempting to make my own silicone molds. The thought process behind this is you can turn basically anything into your own mold that then you can pour resin or concrete or whatever into, and then you have the mold. I have always been intrigued by like special effects, silicone molds, and just kind of like silicone in general. Like it's squishy and rubbery and bendy. Like it's pretty intriguing. So I decided to pick up two different silicone kits, and I figured that would let me try out a couple different products without getting like too in over my head. So the first one that I got is the MOLDS 20T Platinum Silicone Rubber Kit. I got this on Amazon. It was a really popular product on Amazon, and I know this is really popular for people who do silicone molds on YouTube. So I figured this would be a good like place to kind of start. Also, the directions seem super easy. It seems pretty straightforward. So yeah. And then I also picked up the amazing Mold Rubber High Strength Liquid Mold Making Rubber Kit from Hobby Lobby. This was $20. I believe the other kit was like $30. Of course, at Hobby Lobby, if you use a coupon code, usually you can get it like 40% off. So in addition to the silicone, I also picked up a few things to set into the molds, of course. I decided, since we're trying this out for experimentation purposes only, I'd get a variety of things to mold. So I picked up these from Hobby Lobby. These are Paper Studio Chip Decor. I got a J and I got a flamingo because I've been really into flamingos this year. I don't know if these will really work. They are thick. I did make sure to get something that would be thick enough that you could use as a mold. But because they're kind of paper or cardboard, I'm not sure if these are necessarily going to work, but I guess we'll test it out and see. I also picked up this little crab guy. I don't know what he was supposed to be, maybe just like a paperweight or something, but he actually seemed like he would be kind of like the right size and shape for this project. I have these little cute hexagonal magnets that I'm gonna try. They were also thick. I was trying to find stuff that was like a little bit thicker so you can make a good mold from it. I also picked up these little rubber dinosaurs. I thought about doing these like 3D, but I think I'm probably just gonna do them like on their side and just have little like side profile dinosaurs. I don't know, it was just, they were there and they were sitting there and I thought that might work. I also got a couple different charms. I have an octopus, I have a seahorse, I have a mermaid, and I have a couple of owls. I also don't know if these will work because they have so many holes in them and because they're kind of like intricate, but I figured what the hell, we'll try it out. And then I thought I'd play with some more three-dimensional objects. Yeah, we're gonna get crazy. We're gonna do some two-side molds. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, so I think maybe I should be able to handle this. But I have a couple doorknobs. This one I've had, this used to be on the desk in my beauty room, but I got a new desk that doesn't have a drawer. So it's just been sitting around, and it's a starfish. So I thought that would be a really cool mold, and if you something really cool, I could like resin and put like glitter in it and be a cool starfish, because I really like starfish. And the last thing I got, which is what I'm gonna be doing the two-part mold with, is this little flying pig statue. He's really cute. It's gonna be like my big experiment. The other stuff will be like little, and I feel like this is like the big kahuna. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna hope it works, cross our fingers. So in addition to two kinds of silicones, I also have a few different like methods of how we're gonna do this. So online, the most frequent way that people do this is they build a box out of foam core. I went ahead and did this just because my hot glue gun is extremely slow. It's really old. It's probably on its like last legs. I probably should invest in a new hot glue gun. But I just hot glued the edges and the corners and the seams. And yeah, so that's one. I also saw online where people took cookie cutters and put that on the foam core, so I did that too. I have a circular cookie cutter, so I'm gonna try that out. Another thing I saw people using was plastic cups, so I'm gonna put that on the foam core, a piece of foam core also. And I guess I've beat around the bush long enough. I guess we're gonna have to go ahead and get started on actually getting into this. Like, I'm a little nervous. So I figured I'd go ahead and get everything set up so that way when I make up the silicone mixture, it'll be ready to pour and everything will kind of be set, and that way if I have leftover, I can go ahead and pour it into something else and not be spending time going back and forth between like getting stuff ready and then mixing silicone. I figured that would be the best course of action. So first I've got my little circle guy here, and I'm just gonna take a few of my things that I have and start hot gluing them in here. I think I'll take my little seahorse. Actually, no. I'm gonna put my magnet in. And I'm just putting a little drop, maybe, a little drop of hot glue, and then sticking that inside. Oh my God, this is getting real. I guess I'll go ahead and put a dinosaur in here. And I just want to give them enough space to like breathe a little bit, so that when I demold them, it doesn't all like come together, rip together. Whew. I'm already getting hot. Ow. And I just burned myself with hot glue. Oh my God. Okay, so here's my first little setup. Everything is just kind of hot glued in there, giving everything enough space. Next, I'm gonna go onto my bigger box here. My crab dude is gonna go in here. I'm gonna go ahead and put my J in this box also. I might put another dinosaur just like standing up just to see what happens. Like, I'm not taking this too seriously. Like, I'm just trying to have fun with this, see what happens. It may be a disaster, it may be a great success. I guess we'll find out later. So for my three-dimensional items, I'm gonna be using modeling clay, and this just gives it something to stick into. Where are my scissors? For this one, I'm gonna be using the paper cup or plastic cup method, but I am gonna put it on the foam core anyway. I couldn't figure out how to get this bolt out, this screw out up here. I'm just gonna build up around it so that I can just stick the knob into it. I do want this to be sturdy though, since the weight of the silicone is gonna go onto this. I did pick up a kit of clay tools. Just because I figured that really couldn't hurt. And then I'm just gonna take the cup. I'm gonna try the cup method. Okay, I wasn't sure that was holding well, but now it appears to be holding. So here is doorknob in plastic cup in clay on foam board. While I have the clay out and my hands are dirty from the clay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my pig. So from what I gather from the professionals, which of course I am not, for any 3D model that you want to make a mold of, you're gonna put it on one side, put clay down. Cooper's decided to come back upstairs. So you're gonna put this in clay, put it like halfway in clay, pour silicone over it, let that dry, and then you flip it and then silicone the other side. So that, I guess, is the plan. Okay, I've got everything boxed up. That took longer and more energy than I originally intended. Also a lot more hot glue. This started out as a pack of 50 hot glue sticks, and I think we're down to maybe like 20. Definitely used a lot of hot glue. That's my only worry in this, is that are these going to hold? Like, that's my biggest worry right now. I now realize the importance of using a straight edge when cutting the foam core, because you do want to have a very straight edge for them to line up kind of nicely, because otherwise you have to use a lot of hot glue. I hope I did this correctly. If not, I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments down below what I did wrong for next time. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and start with the silicone. I did get some cast in craft mold release, which I'm going to use, I think, on the two that are just like the plain stuff in there and not 3D. Okay, I think I'll try the Amazing Kit on the ones in my cookie cutter and my cup and my cup with the knob in it. The instructions for this, you can mix the ratio by weight or mix the ratio by volume. I'm going to do volume just because I don't have a little scale. I probably should get a little scale. It has a little scoop and everything, okay. See, so we have the base and we have the catalyst. It says shake well before using. If you want to be smart, you can measure the amount of silicone that it'll take to fill up your little things. I like to live dangerously, so I'm just gonna guess and just kind of roll with it. So I have a feeling that my knob here is gonna take up a lot of silicone. So I'm gonna just go ahead and mix up the whole thing. They say that for the entire container here, you just add all of the catalyst. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I do have stir sticks somewhere. Aha, stir sticks. Be safe. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some gloves just because my fingers are already messy enough. And I don't even know what I'm getting into here, so I'm just gonna open this up. I'm gonna mix up this base just a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna add the catalyst. Actually, I'm gonna put this into a bigger container just because this is super messy. Okay, now I can mix it a little easier. When I did the resin, everybody told me to stir slow. I don't know if the same applies to silicone. This thing's stirring, the hating. Okay, I'm definitely scraping the sides as I go. No swirls or striations. I don't see any swirls or striations. It doesn't really say how long to stir. It just says to stir so there's no streaks or striations. This is turning a very nice shade of bubblegum pink. Hope you like my stirring dance moves. Okay, and here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and pour. I'm going to pour it from a distance and let it trickle in, because that's the way to avoid bubbles. Here we go. Oh my God, I'm like really, really nervous. Please don't spill all over the place. I did put a trash bag down, just in case. Guys, this is like the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever experienced. This is way more nerve-wracking than the resin. I'm glad I went ahead and mixed up the whole thing because I think it's gonna need it. Come on. Oh my God, if I don't have enough to fill this, I'm gonna be really pissed off. Oh, this is embarrassing. I probably should have built up more clay around the side so that it didn't take up as much space for the resin. Like I've just built a huge, so I've just used so much resin. It's like actually gives me a lot to think about for the other things. Okay, well this is kind of a fail. I might go ahead and mix up the other resin or the other silicone and then use that on top of here. That did not go very far. That's really annoying. Like so close, but so far. Okay, it does have 20 minutes of work time though, so I figure if I go ahead and mix up the rest of the resin that I have. Hey guys, it's me. Just jumping in real quick to say while I was editing this video, I realized that I used the word resin instead of silicone a lot, like a lot. I don't know where my brain was at. I don't know what my mind was doing. But anyway, every time you hear me say resin, for the most part, like 99.9% of the time, I really mean silicone. So this is my little disclaimer, and now you know what I'm gonna be talking about, and back to the video. We'll still have plenty of time to add it to the top of that. Oops, sorry for moving out of camera while talking. Yeah, so this one is just 1-to-1. Okay, I'm just mixing it all up because there's actually not that much in here. In the picture, this is purple. In real life, it is clear in both sides. Hot life, 6 minutes. Oh God, we gotta get to it, okay. I have absolutely no idea how having 2 different brands of silicone is going to work. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead first and just finish off. I'm gonna go and do Mr. Pig since he is big. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead, I have a little bit of resin in here. I'm gonna go, or silicone, I keep saying resin. I'm gonna go ahead and get my last one here, my cookie cutter. So it should have enough resin to fill this bad boy. Okay, so far everything is holding. I didn't have enough resin to fill my last box here, but I got 3 done. So my pig is completely covered. My knob here is completely covered. And my little cookie cutter, everyone in there is completely covered. It's interesting having the clear silicone, and so you can still see what's in there. I definitely thought that was gonna be purple like it is on the box, but it is not. And like I said, I kind of wish I filled up some of the negative space, especially in the cup more, but also probably in the pig, although I put a lot of clay around that pig just so that you didn't use as much resin. I feel like I definitely used a lot of resin that was probably unnecessary to use that much. So the MOLDS silicone has about a 20 to 30 minute cure time. So I'm gonna let all of this sit and I'll be back. Okay, it's the next day. Since I used a couple different kinds of silicone, I decided to go ahead and give it a full night to cure. I woke up this morning and I ran out to Hobby Lobby to get some more silicone because I realized that there was one of the molds that I hadn't done, and I was completely out of silicone. And I had such a dumb moment because I forgot that I actually need even more silicone because I'm gonna have to do the other side of the pig, but I'm just gonna deal with that later. I wanna go ahead and check these out and see how I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these apart. I have like 3 batteries for my little Sony camera, which I was using for my close-up shots, and they're all dead. I can't find the charger, so I'm just going to unmold these and then I'll do close-ups another way. I mean, it looks really cool. Let's see, I'm gonna get the, I got the magnet out. Woo! Okay, the magnet is out. That might be my only successful thing from this little version here, just because the dinosaur, like half of his little body is sticking out. That's the part that was glued down. But everything else, the other parts of him are under resin, so I'm not sure I can get him out. And to the octopus, as I was a little worried, the silicone just went into all the holes there. So I'm just gonna kind of tear into this because at this point, I think that's kind of my only option. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not gonna be usable for anything. But you can see all the little patterns and all the textures that were on the octopus. It did come through, so that's really cool. I think the dinosaur too, I'm not gonna be able to get out. I'm just gonna have to tear it up. Okay, so this one was pretty much a fail. Besides the hexagon though does have like bubbles at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's from like whatever the finish is that was on the magnet, but there are definitely like bubbles. It's not super clear or shiny on the bottom of the hexagon. I think I'm just gonna like forget this and go ahead and see if my knob turned out any better. This is the one I did in the clay. Oh wow, it just came like right off the board. The clay is actually like still wet, which is really interesting. The clay did hold the silicone, which was my biggest worry, was if this was gonna hold, and it did. The clay did its job. This is the one that I ran out of the first resin and had to finish it with a different kind of resin. So I really have no earthly idea how this is gonna go. Come on, you're almost there. Ooh, I did not think this did good things. The silicone at the bottom is peeling up. Oh, yeah, the silicones did not stick together. Spoiler alert, that just did not happen. Ah, so gross. Oh man. Oh, this is bad. It just didn't like seal all the way. Oh, I'm really disappointed. I actually think this would have turned out okay. I'm gonna try and save my knob. Guys, so far this is turning out to be a massive fail. Okay, and then I'm gonna just, all my hope lies in this pig. All my hopes and dreams. Ooh. It's funny that this is the one that I was like most worried about, and this is definitely the one that turned out the best. Okay, so my piggy still needs a little bit of cleanup work, but this turned out actually really good and really perfect. I mean, I did use a ton of silicone on this, but the clay really held it, and I think that the proportions on this are pretty good. My registration marks look amazing. Okay, it's been a few days since I started this project, and based on the outcome of what happened, you know, with the first couple of attempts, I've had some time now to kind of like pause, reflect on kind of what went well and what went wrong, and I'm ready now to go back in with kind of a second attempt. To be honest, the first two molds that I made were about 90% a fail. A couple of them worked out okay, but I'll get to that kind of when I reflect at the end. But what did turn out actually pretty well so far, which I'm pretty just kind of like shocked and amazed by, is my little pig. I'm gonna pour the second half of this now, so I did go ahead and box this back up. And I also spent a lot of time cleaning out the clay from around the pig, just so that I would get a very clean second pour. It took quite a bit of time to get it all cleaned up, because that clay really gets into every nook and cranny, and I really want this to be a good mold, so I did spend a lot of time cleaning it up. The reason I had to wait another day is because I needed to order more MOLDS on Amazon. I decided to go ahead and get the MOLDS just because that's what I used on the pig on the first pour, so I want to keep that consistent with the second half of the mold. And then if I have leftover resin, which I should because I don't think this side will hold that much, I'm gonna give a second attempt to my crab. I'm just putting him in a little cookie cutter, so hopefully he won't take up very much resin. And then I really do want to give my starfish knob another chance. I feel like I could do better. So what I did is I filled up a plastic cup with clay and then stuck that down in there. So hopefully that way I won't use up as much silicone. So far, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to not give whatever you're molding too much space, because then you're just gonna use up a lot of silicone that's kind of unnecessary. And that is definitely where I have gone wrong in this. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes. So the cure time on the MOLDS 20T is 30 minutes. So these are good and ready to unmold. Mr. Crab comes out in perfect condition, and the mold looks really, really good. I'm actually really pleased with the way that this one looks. And then Mr. Crab comes out in perfect condition, and the mold looks really, really good. I'm actually really pleased with the way that this one looks. I'm gonna cut into my cup next. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take off the clay. This was definitely the way to do this. This was such a good way to do this. And I'm gonna go ahead and open up the big boy. This is the one that's like most nerve-wracking, because I feel like I've spent the most time and energy on this, and also I feel like the first side did such a good job that it makes me nervous that like if I mess up the second half, this whole thing was just a complete disaster. Okay, so lessons learned. I think I messed up by not putting the mold release in there. I think that messed this up, because now I just have a full block. Like, it's not separated into two pieces. It's weird because everything I saw online made it seem like as long as the one side was fully cured, that the other side wouldn't cure to it. So I think I'm gonna have to cut into this, which makes me really sad. So very obviously this didn't work out exactly as planned. I just had to do some like life-saving surgery on this thing. And I didn't cut down to where the registration marks were. And in fact, I'm pretty sure the registration marks just disappeared. Like, I don't even see them in here anywhere. I think one of the biggest problems was that I didn't put any mold release down. I think that was a huge problem. That's really the only thing I can think of, because I did everything else like according to plan. You gotta be honest, I'm a little sad, but I guess there's no use crying over ruined silicone. Okay, and here are the final results of my molds. You guys, this was way harder than I thought it was going to be, and definitely takes way more skill than I currently have. I did go ahead and pour some resin and test out these molds. Here you can see some of the results. The J took a long time to dry because the mold was made out of that cardboard paper. It was sticky for a long time, but it actually does look kind of cute. I used acrylic pigment in the resin. Here's the magnet that I casted, and I poured a couple molds with this. I would say this is probably like my most successful mold, and that's because it is the smallest. I used alcohol ink in the resin on this one, and it's really neat because you can actually see the wood grain on it from the original magnet that I used, which is pretty neat. I also did one with glitter in it. It turned out a little strange because of the wood grain, but I still think these are really cute, and you can see it's shiny on the back. Then we have the crab. Here's the original crab. I molded this with some glitter. Once again, because of the texture of the original crab, this guy isn't clear and shiny, but I still think he turned out pretty cute. And this mold definitely turned out pretty good because, as you can see, he is fully formed, so that was a good thing. My starfish actually was probably like the biggest surprise to me, that this mold turned out so well. As you can see, the resin went into every piece of the mold and casted it perfectly. I'm gonna do another resin test with this because I wanna do one with either alcohol ink or the resin pigment, because the glitter, I think, held it up from going into each of the arms. But I still was like so surprised that this turned out fully formed, because I definitely did not think that was going to be the case. The back, if I wanted to use this as a knob, I would just have to drill a little hole in the back, which would totally work just fine. Pretty pleased with how this one turned out. It's so cute. Guys, and then there's my pig, which was definitely a fail. As you can see, maybe, this guy's only got one leg. I'm actually gonna attempt to re-pour this one as well, just because I think, again, the glitter got in the way of it getting into all the nooks and crannies in the mold, because I think the mold itself was fine. So I'm gonna try again, maybe with alcohol ink, and just try and make him solid without any glitter and see if that works any better. Definitely my biggest mistake when it came to this mold was not using the mold release, was forgetting to use the mold release. I've watched a couple other videos since I did this, and they were pretty clear about putting on the mold release in order to get the pieces to not stick to each other. So that was a huge fail for me. So definitely a learning curve with this entire craft, but it really was kind of fun, and I liked playing with different kinds of materials, different kind of items, and molding them, just because I got to see kind of what works better, what doesn't, and this gives me a lot to think about if I ever want to try this again. I'm not sure I'll be like rushing to do many more silicone molds. It seems like less time consuming and probably cheaper to just go ahead and buy molds online. But if there's ever something, you know, unique that I want to have molded, now I definitely know some of the ins and outs of like how to do this. And like I said, kind of overall a fun project to play around with. Definitely frustrating at times, but also kind of rewarding. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.